Hey everyone, and welcome back to Hoffman Engineering. Today we are looking at the Mingda Magician Max2. This large format 3D printer strives to deliver a large print volume at an entry-level price, while still packing in a number of must-have features. Is the Magician Max2 the large 3D printer you need? Let's find out. Before we begin, this Magician Max2 was provided for me to review by Mingda. As with all of my reviews, they are not paying me for this review, and everything I say is my own honest opinion after using this printer for the last month. My videos do have affiliate links in the description, so you can use those to help support my channel at no additional cost to you. We appreciate your support. Let's get into it. The Mingda Magician Max2 is a filament-based 3D printer with a large print volume of 320mm by 320mm by 400mm. This lets you print larger designs without needing to split the design and prints as separate pieces. The Magician Max2 has a direct drive extruder with dual gear feed to provide plenty of grip on the filaments. The Max2 uses standard 1.75mm diameter filaments. The hot end is a PTFE lined hot end which uses a 0.4mm brass nozzle. The PTFE liner means that you shouldn't bring the hot end above 250 degrees Celsius, which would be just fine for materials like PLA, PETG, ABS, and even flexible filaments like TPU. The Magician Max2 also has smart auto bed leveling built into the hot end assembly. This is a probeless design, which uses a sensor to detect when the nozzle pushes against the bed. This means that there is no probe or spring mechanism that could break. This has the added benefit of knowing exactly where the nozzle makes contact on a bed, setting the nozzle height perfectly. No need to use a piece of paper to level the bed or adjust the nozzle heights. The extruder also has a filament runout detector built into the hot end assembly, which will pause the print when you run out of filament. After you change the filament, you can resume right where you left off. The Max2 also has power loss detection, where it will resume printing the layer it was on when the power is restored. All axes use rubber V-slot wheels, and the X and Y axes are belt-driven with convenient belt tensioner screws on the frame. Around the back we see the dual lead screws that drive the Z-axis. This provides a stable Z-axis movement, which is very important for a printer as tall as the Magician Max2. Belts at the top ensure that the lead screws are always synchronized. On top of the gantry is the spool holder, which can be on either the left or the right side. As we move down to the bed, we can see the nicely cable-managed ribbon cables which provide power and data to the X-axis and hot end. The bed is the heated, magnetic, flexible PEI build plates. This plate is easy to remove and can be flexed to easily remove your prints. The bed has plenty of adhesion. I had no problems with prints sticking. The auto bed leveling mentioned before makes sure that the first layers are smooth and consistent. The temperature across the bed is also very consistent. There is only a couple of degrees Celsius difference between the sensor and the edges. The base of the printer contains a USB Type-A and SD card ports. A 4GB SD card is included. The USB Type-C port is used to connect the printer to a computer or Raspberry Pi. To the right is the touchscreen. This is where the Max2 shows some of its weaknesses. The firmware. The touchscreen works reasonably well, however sometimes it did not detect the touch, or think that I touched a different option. You'll want to be deliberate with your touches. After removing what felt like an unnecessary number of screws on the bottom, we can see the control board located in the base. The Max2 runs a variant of the Marlin 1 firmware. Unfortunately, that is a rather outdated firmware, and is missing many of the more modern features like input shaping and pressure advance. Those features allow modern printers to achieve high print quality at much faster speeds. The firmware selection means that the Magician Max2 will still get the job done and can produce great quality prints. You will just need to be more conservative with your print speeds. I found about 80mm per second to be the upper bounds that I would want to run on the Max2. The Magician Max2 arrived mostly assembled. It took just a few screws to attach the upper gantry to the base, screw on the hot end, and plug in all the cables. After running the auto bed leveling routine, I was ready to print within 30 minutes. It's also worth mentioning that Mingda has a great series of videos showing step-by-step directions for replacing most of the components on this printer. That is great to see. You can use any slicer with the Magician Max2. Mingda provides a copy of Cura and profiles on the SD card. I was also provided a PrusaSlicer configuration. Normally Cura is my go-to slicer, but my prints were much better using the PrusaSlicer configuration rather than the Cura configuration. So you may want to try PrusaSlicer or spend some time adjusting the Cura configs to your liking. Although the PrusaSlicer config that I was sent includes the Super Mario theme song at the start G-code, which I thought was a little weird. With all the specs out of the way, let's look at some example prints. The only file included on the SD card was this pumpkin monster. Besides the raft on the bottom, which did not remove cleanly, the print turned out great. The exterior is smooth and consistent with no obvious flaws. It did take 2 hours and 13 minutes to complete though, running at a leisurely speed of a max of 50mm per second. Next up is the 3D Benchy. After printing a few different versions using Cura and the PrusaSlicer configs, I ended up with this example from PrusaSlicer. Taking about an hour and a half to print, it's not the quickest Benchy I've printed. There is some stringing in the cabin, and you can see the Benchy hull line, but the bridging on the windows is good and the exterior is smooth. Next, I like to test spiral vase mode, so let's scale this rocket ship up to the max 400mm heights. Spiral vase mostly worked, although I did run into one weird section near the bottom where it seemed to dramatically slow down right at the same spot. It did that for just a few layers, but then it never happened again. The G-code seemed fine, so I'm not sure what happened here. The rest of the rocket printed great, up until the very tip of the antenna. Here we can see that the cooling fans weren't quite powerful enough for these very quick layers. It finished the print, but the antenna is a little wobbly. This dragon dice holder is a good example of thinner layer lines, and it turned out great. The bottom has this nice texture from the PEI bed, and the details are all there, with only a slight wisp of strings between the wings and the horns. Finally, this Captain America bust printed at 0.3mm layer heights. The overhangs at the bottom and the bottom of the chin show no drooping. The print looked good, and the Mingda Magician Max2 performed very well on this bust. I did notice the faintest evidence of possible Z-wobble if you look at just the right angle, but I only noticed it on this angled flat surface in raking lights. In conclusion, I found the Mingda Magician Max2 to be a capable large format 3D printer that is not in any rush. While it has plenty of convenience features like auto bed leveling, filament runouts, and power loss detection, the older firmware is missing many of the modern features found on more premium printers that allow those printers to print extremely fast. If you keep the print speeds modest, 50 to 80mm per second, then the Max2 can produce high quality prints. However, with the large 320mm by 320mm by 400mm print volume, such modest speeds can mean very long print times if you're wanting to use all that space. The Mingda Magician Max2 is on sale for $279 at the time of this recording. This is one of the more inexpensive printers with this large of a print volume. If the most important criteria for you is a large print volume followed by low cost, and you are okay with modest print speeds, then the Mingda Magician Max2 could be the printer for you. So thank you all for watching my review of the Mingda Magician Max2. What is your favorite feature of this printer? What features do you think it's missing? Let me know in the comments below. I have tons of other 3D printer reviews, so be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.